The history you know is a manufactured product. It has a high budget. It has a beautiful face. You know the number 300. You know the crimson cloaks. You know the king who snarled at an empire. We built monuments to their discipline. We made movies about their perfection. We turned their final breath into the ultimate brand of military courage. But the soil does not care about brands. Underneath the legend, buried in the same copper dust, lies a different number. 700. 700 men who did not have a law against running away. 700 men who were not bred for the slaughterhouse. They were farmers. They were potters. They were fathers who smelled of wood smoke and grapes, not state-sponsored blood. They stood on the same hill. They took the same arrows. And then, the story we built to save ourselves wiped them from the earth. The question is not why the warriors died. The question is why the civilians stayed. The third sunrise at Thermopylae does not begin with a war cry. It begins with silence. Then, a sound that breaks the logic of the pass. The battle is supposed to be over. The narrow gates are quiet. Below the wall, the choke point is a graveyard of broken wood, shattered bronze, and twisted limbs. The Spartans are already gone. Their bodies lie in the narrows, mangled beneath the weight of the Persian advance. Leonidas is dead. The royal blood has already soaked into the limestone. By every rule of ancient warfare, the resistance is finished. But on a low hill, just a few hundred yards behind the ruined Phocian wall, something is moving. The sun catches a dull, unpolished reflection. It is not the bright, terrifying glare of Spartan professional armor. It is the dented, scratched bronze of men who bought their own shields. Listen. The sound is low. Heavy. Bronze scrapes against stone. Shields are not being lowered in surrender. They are being dragged into a circle. A defensive ring. The hill is tiny. It is called Kolonos. Today, it looks like nothing more than a mound of dirt next to a modern highway. In 480 BC, it is the entire world. It has the footprint of a large house. It is a kitchen floor. And onto this tiny patch of earth, 700 men are packing themselves shoulder to shoulder. They are compressed. The formation is so tight that their armor grinds together with every breath. They are staring outward. In front of them, behind them, to the left, to the right, the Persian army forms an ocean of iron and wicker. The sun reflects off 10,000 spears. The trap is closed. The encirclement is absolute. But look past the Persian lines. Look down the coast. The blue water of the Malian Gulf is visible. The waves are calm. The road south is right there. 12 hours ago, that road was open. 12 hours ago, there was no one blocking the path to the hills. Escape was not a theory. It was a physical reality. They could see it. They refused it. These are not the Spartans. These are the Thespians. 700 citizens from a town that Greece used to mock. A city that Athens considered an afterthought. A city that Sparta considered weak. They do not have names that historians will memorize. They do not have elite lineages. They are the men who left their workshops 3 weeks ago because someone told them the world was ending. And now, they are standing on a mound of dirt, waiting to be erased. Stay with us till the end for valuable insights. Like, subscribe, and share to support the channel. The Persian Empire does not win by courage. It wins by arithmetic. Xerxes has too many men, too many arrows, too many nations marching under one banner. But for 2 days, arithmetic fails him. The hot gates hold. A wall of Greek shields turns the Persian vanguard into meat. The Immortals, the elite force of the great king, advance into the gap and die like peasants. The strategy is simple. The Greeks hold the throat of the mountain. If the throat stays closed, the empire cannot swallow the south. Then comes the night of the second day. The air is heavy with the smell of sweat and salt water. In the dark, a local man walks into the Persian camp. His name is Ephialtes. He is a farmer from Trachis. He knows the ridges. He knows the goat's tracks. He knows a secret that the Greek alliance thought was safe. He sells it. The price is not recorded. The consequence is, there is a trail called the Annihilation path. It loops high above the Greek position, snaking through the oak forests of Mount Calidramon. It is narrow, steep, and completely hidden from the main pass below. It is the backdoor to Thermopylae. Xerxes moves his men before midnight. 10,000 Persian immortals march into the dark. Their footsteps are muffled by the fallen leaves. They do not carry torches. They move like a slow, black river up the spine of the mountain. They are moving behind the Greek lines. By dawn, the strategic reality of the entire war changes in a single report. A scout runs down from the heights. His lungs are burning. He tells the Greek commanders what he saw through the gray morning mist. The ridge is lost. The Immortals are descending. In an instant, the geometry of the defense collapses. The pass is no longer a fortress. It is a trap. The Greeks are no longer defenders holding a gate. They are mice in a box, and the lid is shutting. Leonidas calls an emergency council under the gray sky. The discussion is brief. There is no time for politics. The decisions made in that tent are the source of 24 centuries of academic debate. But the physical result is clear. Leonidas commands the Allied forces to leave. It is a decision of cold military utility. If the entire army stays, the entire army dies today, and Greece has no shields left to defend the cities further south. The Peloponnesians pack their gear. The Corinthian shields are slung over shoulders. The thousands of men who had held the wall for 48 hours turn their backs on the pass. They begin to march south, away from the dust, away from the trap. Most obey the order. Except for 700. The Spartans stayed because they had to. Their entire lives were a preparation for this specific morning. From the age of 7, a Spartan boy is state property. He is beaten. He is starved. He is taught that the greatest sin in human existence is coming home alive from a lost battle. A Spartan who flees is a ghost. His family disowns him. His city strips him of his identity. Leonidas did not make a heroic choice on the third morning. He followed a script that was written before he was born. But the Thespians did not have a script. Thespiae was a minor town. It sat 40 miles south of the pass, a small dot on the Boeotian plain. It was not a garrison state. It was a community of everyday people. The men standing on that hill under Demophilus were not professional killers. They were men who knew the weight of a plow before they knew the weight of a spear. They were free to go. The order to retreat applied to them. Their general, Demophilus, looked at the road south. He looked at the mountain behind them where the Persians were descending. He looked at his men. These were not soldiers who had spent their lives in barracks. They were neighbors. They were brothers. They looked at the Spartans, who were cleaning their armor and combing their hair for death. Then they looked at the open road. If they leave now, they live. They go back to their workshops. They see the harvest. They sleep in their own beds. No law will brand them as cowards. The supreme commander of the Greek army told them to run. They refused. They stayed because they understood the geography of their own destruction. Thespiae was not hidden behind a mountain range like Sparta. It sat directly on the highway to Athens. If Thermopylae falls, Xerxes marches south through Boeotia. And the first major town on his map is theirs. The Spartans were fighting for a reputation. The Thespians were fighting for the survival of their front porch. Think about the desperation of that choice. It is not a clean, noble sacrifice. It is the panic of a father who realizes that if he runs, he is leading an empire straight to his children. They chose to put 700 bodies in the way of a machine, hoping it would slow the gears down by an hour. 1 hour more for their families to pack their lives into baskets and run. They did not stay because they wanted to be legends. They stayed because they had nowhere else to hide. The sun reaches its peak. The heat is thick, sticking the dust to the sweat on 700 faces. The Greek force moves out from behind the wall. They do not wait to be slaughtered on the hill. They advance into the wider part of the pass to maximize the killing ground. They know they are going to die, so they want to trade their blood for as many Persian lives as possible. The clash is mechanical. Shield hits shield with the force of an iron door slamming into stone. The Thespians fight as a single unit. They are not fighting with the flashy, choreographed grace of the Spartan line. Their movements are heavy, unrefined, and brutal. They thrust their spears into the gaps of the Persian wicker shields. When their spears snap against iron plates, they pull their short iron swords. When the swords shatter, they use their hands. They use rocks. They use teeth. Leonidas falls early. The battle becomes a chaotic scrum over his corpse. For times the Greeks push the Persian line back to drag the dead king's body away from the enemy hands. The Thespians are in that pile. They are stepping over the bodies of their own cousins to hold the line. Then, a horn sounds from the ridges behind them. The 10,000 Persian Immortals have completed the loop. They are descending from the Anapi path. They are at the Greek backs. The remaining defenders pull back. They abandon the wide pass and retreat to the tiny mound of Kolonos hill. The wall is gone. The formation is shattered. It is no longer a battle line. It is a circle of dying men. The Persians do not send their infantry in for a final hand-to-hand fight. Xerxes has lost too many men already. He changes tactics. The Persian archers step forward. Hundreds of them form a ring around the base of the hill. They pull back their bows. The sound is a low, collective hiss, like 1,000 snakes hiding in the grass. The sky goes black for a fraction of a second. The arrows come down in a sheet. They do not look for gaps in the armor. They fall with such density that they find the flesh through sheer volume. A man cannot duck. He cannot parry. He can only hold up his dented bronze shield and wait for the weight of the iron points to crush his arm. The circle shrinks. Every wave of arrows takes 20, 30, 50 men. The formation stays tight because the dead have nowhere to fall. They are propped up by the shoulders of the living. The ground becomes slick, not with water, but with the dark, thick blood of farmers and craftsmen. The final minutes are silent. There are no speeches. There are no famous last words recorded for the history books. There is only the sound of heavy breathing through bronze helmets, the rhythmic thud of arrows hitting shields, and the quiet groan of men bleeding out into the copper dust. When the last arrow falls, the hill is still. 700 men lie in a tangled heap of bronze and wool. They did not break. They did not run. They stayed until there was no one left to hold the line. The dead do not write history. The survivors do. And sometimes, the people who didn't even fight write it. Weeks after the final stand, the dust settles at Thermopylae. The Persian army marches south. The Greek alliance eventually rallies and defeats the empire at Salamis and Plataea. The war is over. The victory is shared. But the memory of the victory becomes a new kind of battleground. The story of Thermopylae is incredibly valuable. It is a political asset. It is a currency of prestige. The man who defines this asset for the next 24 centuries is Herodotus. He is a brilliant writer. He travels the Greek world, interviewing witnesses, collecting accounts. But when he visits the sources for the Battle of Thermopylae, he does not get a balanced view. He gets the Spartan version. Sparta needs the story to be theirs alone. The entire survival of the Spartan state depends on a single myth, that their system is superior to all others. They need the world to believe that only the agoge, their brutal, decades-long system of child soldier training, can produce men who will face certain death without flinching. If untrained civilians from a small town can make that exact same choice, then the Spartan system is a fraud. If a farmer from Thespiae can stand on Kolonos hill and take the same arrows as a Spartan peer, then Sparta's monopoly on courage disappears. The ideological architecture of their warrior state cracks. So, the Spartan informants shape the narrative. And Herodotus writes it down. Look at the text he left behind. He dedicates pages to the Spartans. He lists individual names. He records their specific acts of bravery, their dark humor, their duels with Persian officers. He ensures that names like Dionysus and Leonidas live forever. For the 700 Thespians who died in the exact same dust, on the exact same morning, he allocates approximately one sentence. He tells us their general was named Demophilus. He tells us they stayed. And then, he moves on. 700 lives, one line of ink. The narrative shifts them from the center of the sacrifice to a footnote. They become the also present. The framing suggests they were just loyal tagalongs, an extra detail appended to the real heroic act. It was an intentional edit. It was a clean, editorial erasure. Someone decided that 700 voluntary deaths deserved less space in the human record than 300 compulsory ones. The history books did not forget the Thespians because of a mistake. They forgot them because their sacrifice was politically inconvenient to remember. The final consequence of the battle did not happen in the pass. It happened at home. Within weeks of the final stand, Xerxes marches his army south into Boeotia. Thespiae is the first major city on his path. The town is empty of defenders. Every fighting-age man who could have held the walls is currently rotting on Kolonos hill. The Persians light the torches. Thespiae is burned to the ground. The houses become ashes. The stone walls are kicked into rubble. The families that the 700 men stayed to protect, the wives, the children, the elderly who were supposed to buy time with their father's blood, lose everything. They become refugees, scattered across a broken landscape. The sacrifice purchased absolutely nothing for the people it was meant to save. It guaranteed their immediate destruction. And then comes the final, bitter irony of the record. The neighboring city of Thebes, whose contingent surrendered to the Persians during the battle, survives intact. They switch sides. They are branded as Persian subjects, but their houses are not burned. Their children do not become beggars. After the war, Thebes rises to become one of the most powerful political forces in Greece. The city that betrayed the cause thrives. The city that gave its entire male population to the line vanishes into irrelevance. For 24 centuries, the retelling of Thermopylae went through a meat grinder of simplification. The Roman military tradition took the story and stripped away the allies completely. They wanted a clean, uncomplicated archetype of absolute obedience. Hollywood took the Roman version, added a digital filter, and turned it into a global franchise. In the popular films and graphic novels of our modern era, the Thespians are reduced to background extras. They are unnamed, undifferentiated, and treated as weak amateurs who just happen to be standing near the real warriors. The modern entertainment industry repeated the exact same editorial choice that Herodotus made in antiquity. Not out of malice. Not because of a secret conspiracy. But because a story with 300 professional killers is cleaner than a story with 1,000 complicated human beings. If you go to Thermopylae today, you will see the massive bronze statue of King Leonidas. It was built in 1955. It dominates the landscape. Tourists stand beneath it and take photographs of his spear. But if you look closely, nearby there is a second monument. It is a simple marble structure dedicated to the 700 Thespians. It was not placed there by the ancient Greeks. It was not placed there during the Renaissance. It was erected in 1997. It took 24 centuries for humanity to put a piece of stone in the dirt for the men who stayed voluntarily. The statue does not feature a warrior with a sword. It depicts Eros, the ancient god of love. Because the patron deity of Thespiae was not Ares, the god of war. It was the god of devotion. The Spartans died because their laws demanded it. The Thespians died because they loved their home too much to walk away from it. The dirt on Kolonos hill holds the iron arrowheads that killed both, and the dirt does not know the difference between their blood. Only the story does. If you enjoy dark untold history, subscribe because we uncover what others won't.